All right. Welcome to the Event Promoter Podcast. We're here with Caitlin Jewell, who is with Grainbakers, someone who has a depth of knowledge around programming for independent breweries. Doesn't just have some good ideas here, has some actual practical experience doing this across hundreds of breweries, hundreds of locations. Caitlin, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell the audience who you are.
I am Caitlin Jewell. For almost 10 years, I ran Somerville Brewing, which was known by Slum Brew, with my husband out of Somerville, Massachusetts. And we had your typical American brewery that had multiple locations and satellite locations. And my job was butts in seats, as I like to say, programming and entertainment and anything creative we could do to get folks to come in and have a pint and have a pizza and hang out with us. And I'm a national touring, I am the lamest touring bread making instructor, where I teach spent grain bread making at breweries to help activate breweries on slow nights. And there's one more thing I do. I actually am a consultant with Crafted Destinations, which is my husband's architecture firm that builds breweries, second, third, fourth locations, which is really important as breweries are trying to scale, but they're small breweries. So I have been working in the brewing and beverage space for a long time, and the entertainment space.
Cool, great. That's such a wealth of experience that I'm excited to dive in here with. If you work at a bar and restaurant group that manages multiple locations and you're either trying to add more event programming or add your first event programming across multiple locations, we have a little bit of experience with this. We've worked closely with organizations that promote events across hundreds of locations across the US, some that promote it at 10, 5 locations. We kind of see the range of what's possible there. We put together this report on the 17 best event types based on our data that work for bar and restaurant groups. Check out our 17 best events that work across bar and restaurant groups at vesta.fun/bar groups. Now let's get back to the episode. So let's just talk about this a little bit. Like stage one, if you have one of these spaces, what's your thinking around, like I think you mentioned something before about people get into running a brewery or winery because they really love the beverage side of it. But a lot of people eventually realize that you are running an entertainment business, whether you want to admit that or not. All hospitality really is entertainment. So can you talk about just that as a concept and like why you feel that's true and how that plays out?
The first thing to know when you start getting into this business is realizing that you're in the hospitality business, and to compete with the neighboring business down the street, you might have to offer a better mousetrap. And that might mean that you might have to have something better than just a band or trivia or paint night or paint and sip or the same old stuff. Singer, songwriter, or, it's kind of the same stuff in every tasting room or tap room. We have new pressures that are happening too, where wineries are opening up for bottles and glasses. So we have our restaurant down the street that normally just offered meals is now offering entertainment. So the pressure to get diners and butts in seat, as I call them, butts and seats in, it's bigger than it used to be. So there's a lot of pressure in that area to compete for dollars because people leaving their houses is a bigger deal than it used to be. We think about our choices about going out much more than they used to. So now when you own a venue, they used to talk a lot about the third space, making sure that you're providing a really great experience. And you don't have to have the fanciest venue. I mean, I've had some great times in backyards of breweries where they just had some beautiful picnic tables.
Yes, absolutely.
It can be an authentic experience that is true to you. So what we were kind of rapping about earlier is you can have an experience that is just unique to your community. You can have a really creative and free entertainment offering that you came up with that is just something that's super fun that you made up. At Christmas, you might come up with something that is making Christmas cards. You might have packing. Oh, I love community service projects where you invite people to come in and pack up items for veterans. You might ask your local charities if they'd like to use your space as an activation. Just by letting people use your beautiful space, you can start to generate dollars behind your taps because people are using your beautiful space for wonderful community connection things. Didn't cost you anything. So there's a lot of ways to use your space for great community fun.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And also, like, I think there's something about the community thing there of like, just you are building a community. And when you can think about it that way, like the lifetime value of a customer that comes through. It's not just the one time they come in, like someone new comes in or someone who's been there before but hasn't come back very often comes back, and you can get them to come back a couple times a month. You can get them to come back every week, a couple times a week. Like, you can see how that can multiply your revenue just by winning over a few people at a time through these experiences and making them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Totally. People ask me all the time where I don't want a run club. The brewery down the street has a run club. I don't want trivia. Everybody's got trivia. Like, what is a thing that would be totally unique to me? And I usually ask them, well, what is a charity that's close to your heart? Everybody's got something. And does that charity have a home? Does it have a physical presence? And if not, could you offer them a place to store their stuff? Could you offer them a place to have their monthly meeting? Give them a clubhouse. Give them a clubhouse. I incubated an organization called One Brick. One Brick is kind of this Uber Lyft of volunteers who will come and do charity community service work all over the country. And they were out of Boston. And our brewery would let their young volunteers hold their meetings in our brewery. And they came all the time. It was really young, cool, hip people who came every month for their meeting. So you could incubate some cool thing you believe in, and all of a sudden you have a built-in customer base.
What if, you're someone who's, there's quite a few different companies out there that provide different entertainment options or different workshops and options. It's interesting that you mentioned like trivia and paint and sips as like kind of like, those are kind of tried, because like a couple years ago, even like that was the thing, like the innovative thing to do, but now everyone's doing it. So it's like, how you either have to do those things and do them. We see paint and sips still perform well. We still see trivia still perform well, but it's got to be some interesting take on it, or the trivia master has got to be really top notch, or, like you can't just run the basic version of those. Being able to add some variety there with someone and organizations like those that know how to do this, do it across a bunch of different breweries. And it's kind of a tried and true thing that like, this at least works in some percentage of breweries elsewhere. I should probably try this here. How should venues be thinking about picking opportunities like that? And like, how do they even go about doing that?
So our teachers are not people who learned how to paint by number. Our teachers are truly people who love the craft, and they learn all about it, and they are experts in their field. I travel around the country teaching about spent grain and the brewing process. And then I lead into an artisan bread making experience that is actually about a whole grain bread. It's not about sourdough. Everybody learns sourdough. What I do is really different, but there's a depth of expertise that my students come out of the class with something, a totally different thing. Even if they're a sourdough ninja, they learn something they've never heard of. So when a brewery is shopping for an experience, they should check and make sure it's aligned with their values, make sure it's something super unique to who they are, and check and see is it trash making? Does it generate is it a green footprint? Does it have a lot of, is it something the community wants? Does it draw people under 18? Does it draw people who will actually drink their beer or just take up space in the room? So there's a lot of questions around that. Like, is this a thing that will make us some revenue? Will this draw new customers to our taproom, which is really important? Grainbakers draw in 25% of the people in the room have never been to that brewery, and constantly say, I drive by this brewery all the time.
Yeah.
And it's lovely, and it's heartbreaking, and it's lovely, and it's wonderful, and it's kind of funny to get first-time guests. And you're a marketing nerd, so cost of acquisition of a first-time guest is a very expensive thing. And yet Grainbakers are partners that are small American businesses that work with small American businesses, and both companies have a zero contract, zero cost, no money exchange between the venue. And what it is it's a relationship about co-marketing. And we work together as a team to sell the event out. Venue makes its food and beverage numbers. We make what we need to cover our costs through ticketing, and everybody's whole. It's just that trust relationship to work together to get to a sold out event and sell it out so much that there's a wait list that both the venue and the entertainment wants to come back next month or in 3 months. But I would encourage venues to not just book what they see everybody has, but to make sure that they're thinking about trying to bring in something they haven't seen in their region. And then like something
Where do you even
crazy.
find ideas like this? What if if you're probably curious and about this kind of stuff too. Like what are some of the ways where you find ideas that are different than what, every venue down the street's doing?
Go for a walk down your main street. And if you find a wonderful business on Main Street, talk to that owner and say, would you like to bring your business over to my business for 3 hours? And you might be able to get your local cool gift shop or artisan store on Main Street to come vend at your brewery for 3 hours. You might be able to get your barber shop to do haircuts outside of the brewery for 3 hours. Ask your plant nursery up the street to come on a Saturday, and then ask 5 nurseries to all come to the parking lot on a Saturday. Have a plant venue sale. Those have been so hot in California right now.
I've seen those in our platform, and
they cost nothing for the venue, and everybody's nursery got a new set of eyeballs, and everybody walked around drinking their beer while they shopped for their succulents and made connections with nurseries where they're going to go back next Saturday and pick up heavier plants that they can drive their core to. I would say invite your community businesses to come vend for a couple of hours.
I think you're a very creative person. You've got lots of ideas that I think all of those are really cool, interesting ideas. I'm waiting for people to do more dinner theater in breweries because I feel like that's such a good combination. We see dinner theater do really well. I love dinner theater stuff. And I don't think I've ever seen that done, or very often seen it done, in a brewery or like a winery. It's usually like it's some like venue that's not that exciting, but I can see it doing well.
Close to what you said that I want to see more of, and I would do more of myself, is high-end 5-course catered dinners by young chef pop-ups who they're using a catering truck outside. They're going to do a 5-course, and they're going to cater it into the brewery where people are sitting, but they're kind of debuting their voice, their brand, their product. And maybe they don't have a brick and mortar restaurant, but they want to do something over the top. People will pay $100 a ticket. And for the brewery, that would be an elevated experience, a chance to partner with the brewery on flavor profiles with the beers. We can do some cool stuff. Or wineries.
I think these are all really good things. Something I like to talk about at events. One last note on this, and then we'll wrap up. But the something that I always talk about with events is that this is an excuse and a reason for you to get new things to talk about and new marketing out there that doesn't require you to discount. And that's huge, because a lot of people are taught that like the way you market is like buy one, get one free, some discount here or there, like, which I think, I think a lot of like breweries and wineries and distilleries like don't want to do that, but I still see them default to that because they don't really know what else to do. And they just need something to talk about on their social media or their email list or whatever. And it's like, even a very simple event is something different for you to talk about and get people talking about you that doesn't require discounting and actually can drive more revenue. But even if it's net neutral on the revenue, it's still new marketing that you didn't have to discount for.
Same thought when we're coming up on Mother's Day and Father's Day. I always think about this. Parents don't care what you give them. They want you to spend time with them. So that leads us back to what is the point of events and going out to a brewery? It's to spend time with your people. And even if you go and do the most ridiculous, possibly not fun thing at a brewery, you're trying something new and crazy with someone to spend some time together. So what's your risk? You did something that wasn't the greatest thing you've ever done, but you spent time with someone. Well, you had a great beer at a new venue and you were brave and tried a new brewery or a new winery, and that's great. But it was really more about the shared experience. And so I think taking that risk and going out and trying a new place is really what the adventure is.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks, Caitlin. I'm just going to give you a second here to wrap up. Is there anything that people want to connect with you? Where's the best place for them to do that? And is there any kind of final message you want to leave the audience with?
This year, 2025, I'm traveling all around the country as Grainbakers. Right now, I'm doing NorCal and SoCal in the next couple of weeks. And then I'm headed to Boston. And then I will be doing Austin and Denver this year as well. So you can check on that on grainbakers.com. If your brewery is interested in hosting either of our classes, we'd love to have an invitation as well. So I'd love to hear from small breweries. And honestly, if anybody has any questions about putting butts in seats or surviving, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to hear from people.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Caitlin.